Okay, here's a first look at my new Factions 2.0 plugin. If you didn't know, I'm working on developing a non-pay-to-win faction server with a twist, hence the 2.0 part. If you're interested, I'll have a link to the playlist and the Discord in the description. Like I said, this won't be a normal faction server, and most of the new custom features will be talked about in the next video. But I've still made a lot of progress, which is what I want to show you all today. Also, be sure to leave any feedback in the comment section, and without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so the first thing I kind of want to go over here is the -F command. So if you do -F, right now it just tells you all the commands that I previously have created. So obviously in the future I'll add more, but these are the ones I have so far. And one of the main goals with this is just to be able to make it easy for new players to understand what to do. So for example, if you do -F create, it's going to tell you what to actually do. -F disband. I have a faction right now, but it basically tells you things that you have to be able to do, so you don't get confused very easily. And also, I made some updates from the last video. So like, let's just create a faction for now. We create a faction called Atomic here, and then if I do -F invite new gods to kill like that, so it says new gods kills have been invited to your faction, and then if I look over here, it will say that you've been invited to the faction. All right. But if I do -F invite off, because you don't want to be spammed, it says you'll no longer receive invites. But then if I try to invite that player again, it's going to say their invites are turned off. So that's one thing that I made, because I know you guys told me that you want to have it be a little bit more responsive so you can understand if someone has their invites turned off. So I did fix that. So we can turn the invites back on like this. And now they can join the faction. So if I do that, they can join the faction two ways. They can either click on the message right here, so you can click on that, it's clickable, or you can do -F join Atomic. If you do -F join, it's going to say, it's going to tell you to join the faction name, to type it in, so you can just do that. And then in the actual faction chat, I am using this colored green, because I want to have a little bit distinct from all the other ones, because a few things, like Enderpearl cooldown, for example, is like the warning. I use yellow as a warning. Red is just kind of like denying. And then this dark green here is going to be for the faction. So then, as part of the other things that you probably saw here, in the -F here, is the, obviously I added a lot of the ranks, which I'll go over in just a second, but also these chats here. So now if I talk in the chat, this is obviously, this is what it's looking like in the faction chat. So there's two options. This is something that someone brought up in the Discord, is they wanted to have their tag next to the player's name instead of the stars. So I'll show you the star version right now. I'll put probably a picture up on the screen, but this is the non-star version. And then if I use the other account, just FCF, you can do hello. See, the way you do that is FCF like that. It says now you're now in faction chat. If you do FCG, now you're in global chat. And it just says this. This is not going to be how it looks in the very end. Don't worry about that. I haven't added the ranks or any of the permissions and stuff like that, which is also why you don't see the faction tags above the player's name, because I'm going to do all of this stuff when I work on the ranks and all the permissions, stuff like that. So don't worry about that right now. And then you can also do -FCM. So now you're a faction mod chat. So I can talk in the faction mod chat, and as you can see here, okay, this is I haven't actually added this part to it yet. I guess I just. So you can see the contrast here. So do you like the stars right here, or do you like it like this? So that obviously 3 represents leader, and then 2 represent co-leader, and then so on and so on. But yeah, so if I'm talking in mod chat like that, no one can see it. And let's say I want to kick him out of the faction, -F kick, you got it, kill, like that. It says you've been kicked out of the faction, and then it broadcasts it to everyone in the faction, as well as right here, it says you've been kicked out of the faction. And obviously you kick the faction, you can hit him now. And then if I talk FCF, hello, it doesn't pop up anymore because he's not in the faction. So that part's working, but let's invite him back so I can show some more things. Like, we can just click on that right there. And now it says you cannot hurt new gods to kill because he's in the faction. So that part's pretty good. And we can do -F member new gods to kill. Okay, now you've been promoted to member by CloneLTaps. So now if I talk FCF, hello, now we're now a member here. And then if we do -F mod, new gods to kill, and then now we can actually talk in the mod chat. So if we go over here, -FCM, hello, and then this is still using the original way I had it, where it has the little stars. So it's 1 star equals a mod, But if you like it this way, I'll just switch it this way. It's really easy. I already have the switch statement made. So that part's all good. Most factions plugins and plugins in general that use safe zones incorporate something called World Guard into their plugin. And essentially what that does is it allows you to do world protections and everything like that, but I just had to custom code everything like that. Because for me, it would be easier to basically make everything customized if I could do that, as well as there's also good experience and good learning from that. So this is kind of what I did, and also it's going to be more efficient. World Guard's a pretty big file, and obviously a bigger file doesn't necessarily mean that it's be less efficient, but considering everything in my factions plugin is operating at O of 1, it's basically gonna be the most efficient possible considering it's O of 1. So the way I did it is I have a config file. I can probably just show that up on the screen right now, but essentially I have a config file where I can store the X and the Z coordinates. So I have a X and Z coordinate of this part right here now, as well as the block way over there, which denotes the spawn. This obviously isn't going to be the spawn. These houses are just for testing purposes right now, so I can show this part. But yeah, this obviously isn't going to be spawn, but I'm just testing it right now. And then I have for the safe zone, which is going to be like the warps, as well as the spawn area, like the actual where you spawn in before you drop down to PvP, is set to, I think, Y84 to Y100. So basically all I have to do is just check the Boolean values of the player. I can just get player's coordinates and see if they're within a certain zone, which is pretty easy. You just compare a couple of integers. So that's really nice to do. And then if they're above here at Y84, then it's going to be no PvP. So I can show that up here. Let me just jump up here. And it's not going to pop up. Doesn't matter if I leave because it doesn't even show that I'm hitting. If I can step down here, even when I'm in the zone, war zone, it's not going to say, but if I jump down here, it's going to say you can't hurt New God's Kill. And I also figured out how to do cancel other things, my other plugins. So I incorporated soft dependencies into it, which means the enchants aren't going to be proccing, which is why you don't see it spamming up all the enchant crap spamming. Another thing I did with the cancelable as well as the soft dependencies is I made it for my Enderpearl plugin. So as you can see here, the Enderpearl cooldown plugin, if I throw into the spawn, it's not going to land, and it also adds your Enderpearl back as soon as it lands, which is really nice because we don't want to be able to Enderpearl in the spawn. But if I Enderpearl a little bit lower than Y84, it's going to land. And then it's obviously going to take your thing down. If I try to pearl again, Enderpearl cooldown, so you can't spam Enderpearls like you can on some other servers. And then, okay, so let's go over some of the things added here. As we can see here, you can't break that. You can break this block right here. But I also made sure that you can't use pistons and push sand into the war zone, anything like that. This stuff, you can't open at all. As you can see here, you can't open that. Let me get pickaxe out. Can't break this. Can't open the doors. That doesn't work, doesn't work. So this took me definitely a little bit to test to make sure to get right. This is a big portion of it you have to get right. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of screwed here. So, and it looks like I picked it up, but it's just a little glitched block. And then this right here looks like I picked up the water again, but it's just the player side. As you can see, if I go over here at this account, water's still there, and I try to place the water down, it's not really there. It's just a glitch on my screen. So yeah, this is all working right here. And then if I go up here, okay. So if I can try to call monster into the war zone or anything like that, it stops it. So this is the war zone, obviously. Can't break it. And it stops the water from flowing in, which is exactly what I wanted, as well as TNT. So one of the things that was a little bit tricky was figuring out this part, because this is Warzone, obviously. Don't want to break that. Breaks everything but the Warzone, which is perfect. And then also, if you didn't know, the way I have these Ender Pearls set up is you don't have to worry about Ender Pearl glitching. So I found a way to mitigate all Ender Pearl glitching, but I could do that while keeping Ender Pearls as vanilla, which means if you chuck a pearl and it hits like a corner of a block, some faction servers, the way they remove Ender Pearl glitching is you had to change the core aspect of Ender Pearls, which make them so they don't land half the time. But now you don't have to worry about that. Your Ender Pearls will land 100% of the time, which is really nice. Well, at least as much as Minecraft allows you to. Okay, what the heck am I doing? So here's one thing right here that I also had to make sure would work. You can't launch sand into the spawn, so that's one of the major things that I do. You see, it breaks, disappears. You don't have to worry about that either, so that's kind of nice that I added. Then let's launch some TNT like that. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, so we don't really have to worry about anything like that. Nothing's going to break in the war zone, which is nice. Anything else really in the war zone side of it? I don't think so. If you can think of any other bugs that could possibly happen, let me know. I also made sure that you can't place like item frames down as well as paintings down, because that uses a different method than the block place and other interact things. So I had to use a special interact event for that. But yeah, so that's how everything's working like that so far. I think it's pretty good. Now let's show the claim portion of everything. That part's pretty interesting. Okay, also one other thing I want to mention is the base claims will be done a little bit different than these normal claims. So it's going to be something a little bit different. I haven't added that part yet, which is what I'm working on currently. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but let's just stick with the regular claims right now. So as you can see here, if I go in here, do -f claim. The way I did this was I created a special UUID system so I could serialize all the different chunks into a long value, and I could store that into a map. And then which also creates it really easy and really efficient way of checking if a player interacts within a certain chunk, because I can use a hash, I can load into a hash map and then use the simple .get function, which allows .get method, which allows me to essentially get everything and keep everything O of 1, which is really nice. So if I go around here trying to claim, which I already have claimed, I just want to make sure it's fully claimed. So that part obviously wasn't claimed there. Okay, so then if we go here and we want to do gods to kill a recruit, we can do that like that. We go over here, and then now we try to break blocks, and it says you need to be at least a faction member to break blocks as well as place blocks, but you still can open and interact to like hide. This is just to help, just to make it so new players like that can't go around griefing your items and stuff like that, your certain structures. So that works pretty nice. But if we go over here now and we do -f like member, for example, yeah, like that. There we go. Now he should be able to place blocks as well, like that. So that's good. And then you can also break like that. But let's say we get kicked with a faction, like -f kick, gods to kill with a faction, like that. Obviously hit him again. But if we go back here, you're not going to be able to interact with the Atomics claim. So that part is working perfectly. Also, another thing I want to mention is there's not going to be any enemying, so you don't have to enemy anyone. So you can go out there and just hit them right away, right like that. It doesn't really matter at all. The reason for this exactly is because I just didn't feel the need for any enemies, considering I didn't want to have any truces or allies, because one of the main things I thought with factions was the PvP was kind of ruined because it always turned to like two sides fighting each other. Everyone would ally up against each other, and it was kind of boring because, you know, everyone was just a big massive clump of allies, so anyone who wasn't a part of that just couldn't really PvP. So I thought that was kind of stupid. So there's not going to be any allies or truces, which is going to be, honestly, in my opinion, it's going to be pretty good. And then hence you don't really need any enemies. There's no point. Just let anyone hit each other. It just kind of wastes time to be jacking around with that crap. So yeah, this part is all working really nice, and TNT does break here. So like obviously it's Warzone, and the claims have different aspect to them. So like you can go and blow up claims just fine. Yeah, I can see like that. So yeah, you know, he doesn't have to worry about all that crap. Big issue I saw with the PvP was people would just hover, they're just airplane over people and then just drop on them and attack them, which I thought was pretty lame. So yeah, since there's not going to be any fly, considering there's no pay to win, no one's got to deal with that crap anymore, which is going to be pretty nice for Warzone PvP, considering you can push out farther because you don't have to worry about people just dropping down on the top of your forehead, which probably will make it more competitive because you can actually have more skill and you'll have to think a little bit harder about where you can position people, try to ambush someone, or if you just want to fight them just straight out under warp. It'll be a lot easier to do that, considering you don't have to worry about people hovering above you. But anyways, yeah, this is pretty much all I've gotten done. There's probably a little bit more random features here and there. Like there's more to some of the different like -f co-leader, -f mod. Like for example, if you give someone co-leader, then they can start modding people. The mod can member people and they can take it away. And it only works for roles below yours, so you can't mess with people with higher roles than yours or people with equal roles to you. So obviously that part works pretty fine. But besides from that, most of the new stuff I'll probably talk about in the next video, and I'll continue to work on part of this portion as well as clean some of it up, make some of the notifications work a little bit nicer. But yeah, hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
survive.